Hi, everyone, and a happy 2025 to all the Bachman modelers out there. We're excited to join you once again in the first episode of now our second year of doing New Model Monday Live. So I'm Matt, and over here is Tyler.
How's it going, everybody? It's great to be back on the stream, ready to show off some new product samples that we've received, and talk about some of the plans that Bachman has for this upcoming year, where we're traveling, the trade shows and events we're going to be visiting, and we'll look at some recently arrived products that are shipping out to dealers now.
Yeah, we've got quite a year coming up for us in terms of shows we're going to be going to. We're going to be going pretty much to not all corners of the country, but not far off. So we're pretty excited about that, and we're excited to meet many of you along the way. So we'll, like Tyler said, we'll talk a little bit about that, but I think we should start off with the latest and greatest. And Tyler, why don't you show us the latest samples we have of upcoming products?
Yeah, let's do it. I've got three different models, three different products here to show today. They are all in HO scale. Nothing in our other scales for this month, but hopefully we'll have something to show for you maybe coming up in February or March. So these were first shown on our Facebook page a couple weeks ago, and we're going to show off again here and talk about them in a little more detail. Making its return to the Bachman line, we announced in our 2024 mid-year announcements, is the Sound Value EMD GP38-2, and I've got three of the four road names that we're offering in this release here today. We've got the ever-popular CSX Brake Future. This is number 2742. Spin it around here and give you all a good look. Something I should mention, we have done a Sound Value GP38-2 before in HO scale. It's been out of the line for a couple years, and for this new release, they've been upgraded to the latest Soundtrax economy decoders with additional features and sound options compared to the original Sound Value release.
These should come with things like full startup sequences and horn selections and stuff like that, right?
Yes, that's correct. And also Soundtrax features like their Hyperlight LED headlights. I believe this one has a plug for their current keeper device, which they sell separately. I'm looking up some of the information real quick on the history of this particular locomotive, just to give you folks some additional feedback or additional information. CSX 2742. This was a former came to CSX from Conrail. It was originally built for Penn Central as number 8109 and became CSX number 2742.
And is that one that's still on the CSX roster today?
It is. It has since been repainted into the Dark Future, as some call it, or the HGM paint scheme, but it is still on the roster with the same road number. So this would be appropriate for your mid to late 2000s East Coast model railroad. And we've got two West Coast road names as well. Here's the BNSF H3 scheme, or the swoosh as some like to call it, number 2040. This is one I think, I think, Matt, I think you in particular will be probably interested in getting when they come in.
I was going to say I already have the older one that we've done before sitting right here in my office.
There you go.
Well, and actually, while we have both on the screen here, you could probably highlight some of the upgrades that we've done to the paint scheme on the new one.
See. They're very similar. There has been some changes as far as doing some upgraded warning placards compared to previous releases that are accurate to this particular road number. It's got some of the same detail features as far as you've got your separate uncoupling levers, your fine scale handrails here, directional lighting, all-wheel drive, all the features you've come to expect from Bachman sound value locomotives.
And I know this is just a small detail, but one of the things I like most about the new one, if you see on the old one here, you've got the traditional silver around the windows, which may be accurate for some, but for this particular road number, the actual windows it is orange. So that's been replicated on this model to match that prototype.
Yeah,
And also, if you'll see on the old one here, obviously this one is not a sound locomotive. So this is a major upgrade in terms of being able to get it with sound now. So, as Tyler said, I'm personally very much looking forward to this one.
yeah. Interesting fact as I'm looking up the history of this road number in particular, this was also originally started life as a Penn Central GP38-2 and passed on to Conrail. But this one did not go to CSX. It became a leaser unit with the reporting mark LLPX, Locomotive Leasing Partners, before getting rebuilt and finding its way to BNSF.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Now, here's one that did not start life as a Penn Central locomotive. I'm very positive of that because it's got a completely different configuration. And this is something we introduced last year on the DCC Ready version for the Missouri Pacific, and that's the non-dynamic brake option. So here's the Union Pacific number 358. And speaking of Missouri Pacific, this unit started life as a Missouri Pacific locomotive, I believe with the same road number. For those who aren't familiar with dynamic and non-dynamic braking, it was an option that many railroads opted for to use the power from the prime mover to add additional braking power. But some railroads, particularly those in the Midwest where it's very flat terrain and that extra braking was not needed, opted for locomotives like this GP38 that were not equipped with dynamic brakes. So, as you can see, I'll put them up side to side just so you can see. Dynamic brake version on the top with the fan on the roof and the additional sides. The non-dynamic brake version is a little more simplified and streamlined. Another detail about this Union Pacific 358, you can see it has the yellow dashed reflective lining here on the side of the
Conspicuity stripes, I think they're called.
Yes, that's the formal term. Earlier Union Pacific locomotives up until about 15, 20 years ago would have been painted red on the side of the sill here. So this represents a more recent locomotive and fits right in on your modern Union Pacific layout. All of these GP38-2s compared to your larger modern locomotives, your GE Evolution Series, your SD70 ACE, they are still in service on these Class 1 railroads, typically on local trains and switching jobs. Yeah. And we do have one more road name for the GP38 sound value. As I mentioned, I have 3 of the 4 here. Last road name is the Long Island Railroad in the as delivered bicentennial colors. The sample that we got for that had some issues with how we had specified it to the factory. Some mistakes had been made with details and decorations, so we're not quite ready to show that one yet, but hopefully in a couple weeks we'll get a corrected sample in and we can show that one off as well, because we're really excited for that one as well.
Yeah, very excited. It's the first commuter GP38 we've offered in our line.
That's correct.
All right, so what else have you got for us, Tyler?
Yeah, so we're going to turn the page now from locomotives to rolling stock, and we're going to show off the latest in our very popular line of Siemens Venture passenger cars. I believe we showed the unpainted engineering samples last month or the month before of these cars. And then we showed the painted samples recently on Facebook. And here they are for the live stream audience as well. These are the Amtrak Midwest married pair cars. So our first release of Amtrak Midwest Venture cars was the single cars, which have traditional knuckle couplers on both ends and are, can be coupled and uncoupled to build constants as needed. This is a little bit of a different configuration. These are the married pair cars, which are on the prototype semi-permanently coupled together. Uh, so the idea is to keep these cars somewhat as a consist on a regular basis. They can be disconnected for maintenance purposes. But what we have here, we have in my left hand here, we have another coach class, the coach class half of the married pair. Looks very similar to the single car. The most obvious distinguishing feature on here is that the married paired cars between them, rather than having end doors that open and close, they have an open gangway. This is represented on our model here. You'll see this end is just blank within the diaphragm here on one end of the car. Then the other end has a traditional door. This would be open on the prototype. We did it as a sealed end here to prevent dust and debris from getting inside the car and affecting the lighting and just being a pain for people to clean out. So that was one concession we had to make for the model, but everything else, like all of our Siemens models, designed from original documentation and reviewed and approved by Siemens engineers. And then here's the business car, the business class half of the married pair. You'll notice that rather than the coach cars having a door on just one end of the car on both sides, the business class cars have four side doors, one with a high-level door here for high-level platforms, which can also be used as a wheelchair lift. There is an accessible wheelchair lift built in. And then there's one low-level.
Not on the model, unfortunately, but
Unfortunately not. That's something that, maybe our engineering team can come up with in the future. But that's just the prototype context. So talking about these cars being semi-permanently coupled, I want to show off a neat optional feature that we're including with these cars and that we've included with all the venture cars we have right now. So normally, you'll see when these cars are coupled together, you do have a little bit of a gap between the diaphragms that would not be there on the prototype. The reason for that being to allow these cars to go around tighter radiuses on smaller railroads. But we give the modeler the option to change out the standard EasyMate Mark II couplers on these cars with different coupler options that create a more realistic appearance. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you folks here today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out the EasyMate coupler on the open gangway end of each of these cars.
you'll see how simple that is. These are based on NEM pockets. Is that correct?
Yes, it's the NEM version of our EasyMate Mark II operating coupler. All you have to do is press down on the coupler mount here and gently pull, and it pops right out. So here's the alternative coupler options that are included with this car. We have a European style NEM coupler. I'm going to hold that up. For those of you who are not familiar, you'll see this on a lot of European rolling stock that rather than having knuckle couplers on the prototype would have a more of a hook and loop design. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pop these into the coupler mounting box here. And do so on the other car. Now you might be looking at it and saying, what's the big deal? You've put in a coupler that doesn't look like my traditional knuckle coupler. I think it looks pretty ugly. Well, the advantage is when you put them together like this. And this is a little bit easier to do when you have track underneath. There you can see the difference.
The gangways are basically touching there.
Close couplers, yeah. There's probably about a centimeter of distance between the vestibules here. You can barely even tell that they're separate. So that gives you a more realistic appearance, especially with these married pair cars, which are, going to be semi-permanently coupled together and are often going to be like this. This is going to increase your minimum radius compared to using the easy make couplers, but for those of you who have the large layouts with the curves to run it, it's a great option.
Do we have a do we have an idea of what the minimum would be with those couplers?
I would say probably a 26-inch radius would be the best to put that on the safe side. Now these couplers, they are not magnetically operated, but they can be opened. As you can see here, I'm going to push up on the bottom of the coupler, and it lifts this small hook up. Bring it a little closer to the camera so you can see. And we do have a second option for close coupling as well, and this is maybe the most realistic option. This was an option that we did not include on our first run of venture cars, and we're adding in this one just to add another dimension of realism. And this is a solid piece knuckle coupler drawbar, which has NEM connectors on both sides, so it's more in line with your traditional North American knuckle coupler. Now, of course, unlike the Easy Mates and the European style coupler, once you have these cars together, you're not going to be able to uncouple them magnetically or manually. So this is for if you really want to have your cars together at all times. But as you can see, it's still a very realistic appearance.
Yeah,
And
this functions in a very similar way to the way these real cars function. They are semi-permanently coupled in reality.
That's correct. So as you can see, there's plenty of options with these HO scale venture cars. This is prototypical not only for the Amtrak Midwest married pairs, but also for the Via Rail Canada train sets that we have already released. That is also a semi-permanently coupled train set. So if you haven't purchased those cars yet, or if you purchased them and weren't aware that these couplers are included in the packaging, try them out sometime for a more realistic appearance.
Very cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about these venture cars is that it's not a one size fits all. It's not just here's the venture car, we've made it, and we're going to paint it all these different colors. That every single version is exactly like the prototype. All the configurations for windows and doors, and even the seating on the inside is specific to the prototype.
Yeah, even all the way from the antennas on the rooftop and the equipment and electrical cabinets underneath, all prototype road name specific. That's all thanks to our partners at Siemens Mobility, as well as at Amtrak Midwest and Via Rail Canada. So look out for those Midwest venture cars coming later this year.
Looking forward to them.
Yeah. And finally, for our final news sample that I'm going to be showing this week, we're going to be taking it from separate sale into our ready-to-run train set world in HO scale and show off the return of what I've always thought of as a classic Bachmann set and a very popular one. Thanks to our friends at Holland America Cruises, we're bringing the latest iteration of our McKinley Explorer train set.
Yeah, we announced this during our NMRA announcements in the summer, and they've been slowly repainting these cars in reality since about 2019. You may remember the previous paint scheme that we've offered before. So we've updated for these, and we've also updated the locomotive as well, which, Tyler, I'm sure you'll get to that as well.
Yeah, I'll be showing that in just a moment here. So here you see the new colors for the McKinley Explorer cars. These are cars that are owned by Holland America Lines, and they charter in partnership with the Alaska Railroad to offer scenic rides to Mountain Alley to see the mountain and the national park, formerly Mount McKinley. As you can see here, with this new paint scheme, it more closely matches the modern colors of the Alaska Railroad. And as Matt mentioned, we've updated the GP40 locomotive in this set to the modern Alaska Railroad colors compared to the classic paint scheme that we offered in previous versions of the set. Very
I
sharp looking.
believe I believe you can still find both paint schemes in operation in reality, but obviously this is the more recent one. And like you said, it's the design of the new paint scheme on the passenger cars is very much designed to mimic that.
Yeah.
So
On
they
the
look good in
prototype,
concept together.
the McKinley Explorer at this time, they're now using SD70 MACs as the locomotives, SD70 Max, which we don't have a model for at this point. But the GP40 makes a good stand-in, and of course, this is a prototypical paint scheme for the Alaska Railroad. They introduced this about 20 years ago, and they're still painting locomotives in it to this day. So I'll show off the passenger cars again. These were custom-built passenger cars for Holland America by the Colorado Railcar Company back in the late 2000s. The 89-foot dome car. You can see here we've got two different car styles, one with a larger observation platform on the end, and the smaller one, known internally as the A car and the B car. So you've got road name, car number specific exteriors, and a fully detailed interior inside. And I just want to take a moment to say this set kind of has some personal meaning to me. As a child, I loved trains from the beginning, and I already had model trains that from my grandfather and my father that I would play with my father and my brother. When I was 2 years old for Christmas, that was in 1999. Officially, it was a gift for my brother and I, but we were a little young at the time, so my dad spent a lot of time playing for it. But our gift for that Christmas was the original Bachman McKinley Explorer set, and all those years later, here I am working at Bachman and working on the latest version of the McKinley Explorer. So that was a really cool experience.
I think that's what they call full circle.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other cool things worth mentioning about these cars is that they're also the prototypes are the largest, the highest passenger cars in operation in North America. They're I believe they may even be a little higher than a typical double stack consist, or around the same height as that.
Yeah, they're definitely at the maximum length for a standard rail car. Just to give you folks an idea of the size difference, here's the venture car and the Colorado Railcar Dome side by side. You can see just how much taller the dome car is.
And the venture cars are not short cars themselves, as far as single level cars go. They have a lot of height when you look at them compared to Amfleets.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well,
That's
that is some that's some cool stuff.
It really is, and there'll be much more to come in 2025.
Absolutely. So, as usual, we're going to pivot from talking about models that are up and coming for the future to talking about models that are in stock now and have come into stock since the last time we did a new Model Monday. So, I've got a few things behind me here. We're going to start. We do have, unlike with new products that we had to show off this week, we do have some N scale stuff to talk about that's in stock now. Perhaps most exciting. Well, I don't know. Don't want to say most excitingly, but a pretty cool arrival is our Pennsylvania Railroad Fleet of Modernism passenger car series. We've got the dome car. Goodness, still stuck on the Colorado rail cars. Got the observation car here, and I'm covering the trucks because this is just full disclosure. This is the pre-production sample without wheels in the trucks, so it looks a little odd. But this is other than the lack of wheels, this is exactly what the in stock models look like. It's got a full interior. It's got the beautiful Fleet of Modernism Art Deco period paint scheme on it. And then we also have, is it 2 or 3 road numbers that we have for the coaches?
3 road numbers.
3 road numbers. So you can actually build a decent consist without repeating road numbers just from the cars that we have available. Mm-hmm. You've got the underbody detail there. Again, you got a full interior in these. And these are lighted cars as well, I believe.
Yes, correct. They have lighted interiors. Historical context for the Fleet of Modernism. It was a Introduced in 1938 for the Broadway Limited and the Pennsylvania Railroad's other premier passenger trains, designed by industrial designer Raymond Loewy, who designed the GG1s for the Pennsylvania, as well as the streamlined K4 locomotive, which is in our N-scale line. There were a lot of requests for the matching passenger cars for the streamlined K4, and we're happy to finally be bringing them to market to go with your sound value K4s. This paint scheme lasted until 1947. It was used on all of the Pennsylvania Railroad's new lightweight cars, as well as some secondhand passenger cars, and it was used on certain locomotives, passenger locomotives as well, including the GG1s, the Streamline K4, and several others.
It's a really cool paint scheme, and you know, if you're into historical railroading, it's certainly a must-have.
Yeah, and for anybody who just likes Art Deco design as well, fits right in with that era.
Absolutely, yeah. So, also sticking with N scale, we have our N scale coil cars that I believe these just came into stock within the last few weeks. We've got two. So in HO scale, we just announced the fairly recently, or we just brought out the angled coil cars, which are the older design. These are the rounded ones here. They're the newer design. The N scale release, we have not released these separately, but we've actually released both styles together. So you have your choice. We have the modern one, or the rounded hood style here. This is the CSX one, and then you've got, here's an example for the angled hood in the box here. And this is in Conrail colors, and we also have these in. I get the HO ones and the N scale ones mixed up here. So Tyler, help me out. What are the other paint schemes we've got for these? I believe is it Norfolk and Western.
Norfolk and Western for the angled hoods, and BNSF for the round hoods.
There you go.
And not to bury the lead, just like the HO version, on all of the cars, the coil hoods are removable and interchangeable, and they come with 6 removable coil loads.
So here's the cradle as it looks without the coils loaded in it, which is fully detailed with molded on riveting and the cross bracing there. And then on the other side here, we've got the coils loaded on this side.
There you go.
So you can recreate these trains in various configurations. You can mix and match the hoods. The hoods from both styles will lock onto either car, as you'll sometimes see on the prototype. You can run them without the hoods. You can mimic actual loading and unloading scenes on your railroad, and it's just a very cool, very versatile car, and something that's going to be, I think, a big hit for modelers between the late '60s and the present day.
Yeah.
So that's those are our new N-scale arrivals. We've also got a couple of HO arrivals. Now, we did talk about this a little bit last time because I believe we just received a small initial shipment of these. We're happy to announce that the balance of our BL2 shipment from our factory has shown up, and these are now shipping to retailers. So if you were hoping to get one of these and saw that they were out of stock all too quickly, they will be back in stock in your retailer very soon, if not already. And these, of course, are DCC equipped. They do have the provision underneath, if you see here, for installing a sound decoder and a speaker. They're not speaker equipped, but they do have the housing. And they've got some pretty cool road-specific details, such as they've got the radiator on the back of the Western Maryland one here. The Rock Island model has the
the steam generator vents.
Thank you. And it's as many of you'll know, it's been a long time since there's been a BL2 on the market in HO scale. So we're happy to bring these back to the HO scale model railroading world, and the paint schemes that these are currently available in include Western Maryland, Rock Island, Chesapeake and Ohio, and Monon.
Mm-hmm. We all know what the BL and BL2 stands for.
It's beautiful locomotive, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Despite what certain other people at Bachman, our colleagues, might believe.
Yeah, as seems to be the case in the greater rail fanning world, the opinion on the the looks of the BL2 is divided even here at Bachman. We
Yeah.
some of us, myself included, think it's a really cool looking, really unique locomotive, and there really wasn't anything else at the time or since that looked like this. And I
Yeah.
personally like this curved styling back here, which almost looks like the fins on the cars being produced at the time.
Hmm.
But then you get other people that they're not so taken by the design.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Love it or hate it, it has an important place in railroad history. It was
Mhm.
EMD's first road switcher locomotive, and it kind of set the groundwork for what would they would later refine for the road switcher design with the GP7, bridging the gap between your cow units like the E and F units and the Jeeps.
Very, very different in appearance to the. I'm describing a GP7 because I happen to have this one here, but very different in appearance to the later Jeeps.
Hmm.
But it did pave the way, and if you especially look at the trucks and the underbody, there are some similarities there. So, just rounding out our new arrivals in HO scale, another car that we've talked about a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But this is our air slide hopper. This is part of an effort on our part here at Bachman to start to bring some more modern freight cars into our HO scale range. These cars have been around since the 60s, but can still be seen today, variations of them. These will be joined fairly shortly by our Trinity 5161 cars, which are well and truly modern cars, being appropriate for model layouts from the mid 90s onwards. But for now, we've got the air slides, very cool cars. Probably the most underside detail of any car that we've produced in our HO scale separate sale line. You've got all the brake rigging, you've got the hatch detailed, you've got the I guess the brake canisters, or what would you call those, Tyler?
Brake cylinders,
Cylinders. The word. The
Canis-
word.
canister cylinder, they're in the same family.
Yeah, yeah. You've got fully see-through fully see-through roof walks up on the top here. And you've got the separately applied roof loading hatches, and as always, they come with our Easy Mate Mark II couplers and our metal wheel sets. So very cool cars. We're offering these in 2 road numbers each for each paint scheme. So you don't just have to have one car for each paint scheme in your consist. We're offering these in Burlington Northern Green, Union Pacific in the very attractive silver from the 1960s with complete with silver trucks. We're offering these in the more modern GACX or GATX leasing scheme, which actually you can still see fairly frequently on the remaining cars that are still running around in the network today. And we're also offering these in CSX as well. So, very cool modern freight cars, something that's pretty different to what we've traditionally had in our freight car line. And like I said, it's the first of a couple of more modern era freight cars to expect from us. So that just about concludes the show and tell portion of our live stream. But like Tyler said at the beginning, and I elaborated on a little bit, we're going to be traveling around quite a bit this year. We've got a lot of shows coming up. The most imminent one, of course, is the Amherst Railway Society Railroad Hobby Show in West Springfield, Massachusetts. That's going to be coming up actually in about a week and a half from now, or a little under 2 weeks from now. On the believe it's the 25th and the 26th. If you're in the Northeast at all, or anywhere within traveling distance from Springfield, we highly recommend it. We're going to have our full display there. You're going to see examples from our entire line on display, and aside from us, it's actually the biggest model railroad show in the country. So there's layouts, there's even sometimes prototype trains on display. It's a fantastic show, and one that we highly recommend making the trip to.
It really is. It's the best show that I think I've ever attended year after year. It's a 2-day show, and I think relative to some of the other shows out there, this is one where you absolutely need 2 days to see everything and spend a good amount of time in each building there.
Absolutely, and we are hoping to. I'm not gonna make any promises right now, even though it should be pretty much a done deal. But we're hoping to have our 2025 catalog ready for debuting at the Amherst Railway Society show, which is not something that we've done previously. So, pretty excited about that. I do have our one of two pre-production, I guess you would call it, samples here. So this is where you're seeing it first. I'm not gonna open it up. There's stuff in here we can't talk about yet, but this is the little sneak preview. This is our 2025 catalog, which should be available for at our booth at the Amherst Train Show.
Hmm. Yeah, it's all kinds of great stuff in there. The catalog came out beautifully. Photographed by Ken Patterson, featuring the New York Central Dreyfus Hudson and other New York Central models that we have in our HO line right now. Came out really well.
Yeah, and we've got a few things up our sleeves in there that I think you're gonna be excited about. So we're all of that'll be unveiled at the Amherst show. So not a show to be missed. So Tyler, what do we have coming up after that? We have a few more shows scattered throughout the year.
Yeah, our next major shows will be in February. It'll be the World's Greatest Hobby on Tour. Back for another year. Always a well attended, really well put together show. This year, World's Greatest Hobby on Tour will have two shows, both of them in California. First one will be in Costa Mesa, Orange County. That's scheduled for February 15th and 16th. Of course, with the situation in Southern California right now with the wildfires, Costa Mesa itself has not been directly affected, but due to logistical situations in that area, things may change. As of right now, the show is on, but we will keep you posted if there are any updates. And of course, our thoughts go out to everybody who has been affected by those wildfires.
Yeah.
Then the second show on the World's Greatest Hobby on Tour is February 22nd to 23rd, the following weekend in Sacramento. A great railroad town, of course, with the California State Railroad Museum. It's world class. So it should be two very good shows, and we look forward to seeing our California fans on that.
Absolutely. And then I believe after that we have the. We're not going to go into detail about every show right now because we've got a good list. But just to run down a little bit more of where you can expect to see us. We'll be at the Rocky Mountain Train Show in Denver coming up in April. We're going to be, I believe, you said we are going to the N-Scale Convention. Is that correct?
Yes, National N-Scale Convention is in Kansas City this year in late June. We've got the National Train Show in conjunction with the National NMRA Convention in the Detroit, Michigan area in July.
In Novi.
Yes.
Then we'll be at the Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet in St. Louis for our second year in a row, which is something we started attending last year. And as things continue to develop in the show world, we don't have dates for anything specific beyond that point, but we do expect to be at Train Fest in November once again.
Yes. If you go to our website, BachmannTrains.com, scroll down to about the middle of the main page, just above the latest arrivals, we do have an event schedule button which shows calendar, and we've been adding dates for all of the events we're attending this year as they get confirmed.
We're looking forward to bringing Bachman to America this year as we travel across pretty much the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
So, been seeing a lot of questions in the comments here. We have not been ignoring them. We're going to do our Q&A as always, which I think probably about time for that. What do you think, Tyler?
I think so. You want to start from the top of the chat? I'll start from the bottom.
Sounds like a plan. The first question here I really like, or maybe more of an assumption than a question. It says, hopefully they release trains. I think there's a good possibility we'll do that.
Yeah. That's good. I was, sometimes you worry. It's like you get worried about. We don't have any trains. We got to tell people no more trains. No, we hope you've been happy with what we've shown so far, the upcoming and recently released models, and there'll be much more to come.
Yeah, without giving anything away, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff planned for 2025. So watch that space for sure.
Yeah. I have a question relating to the venture cars. A couple of questions. Most of them relating to VIA. Got a question about the cab car, and we've been trying to keep people updated on that. We know those of you who have gotten the coach class and business class cars have been waiting quite a while for the cab car, and we want to apologize for that delay. The good news, the reason for the delay was related to issues with getting good acoustics and a good volume level out of the cab car to make sure that it was audible over the locomotive and the sound of the train moving. It's a DCC sound onboard cab car, first time we've done anything like that, and we wanted to refine it and make sure to get the best performance possible. So the good news is that the cab car, the design has been finalized, and it's going to be going into production, I believe, in February or March, with the goal of shipping it mid-year. So it'll still be a little bit more of a wait, but we are making progress on it, and it'll be in your hands as soon as we can get it. And as far as new road names for VIA, road numbers for VIA, excuse me, had questions about that. All I can say is stay tuned.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a couple of questions here about different road names that we don't currently have in our line, such as Mexican railroads or Reading and Northern. These are both excellent questions, excellent suggestions. We are taking your feedback into consideration whenever we look at new road names to add to our line or for new models. So we'll certainly keep those under consideration. And if there's a particular railroad that you want to see, definitely let us know. You can email us at info@bachmantrains.com for any suggestions, and we do read the emails.
Yes, we do. Question about do we plan on more varieties of passenger cars in HO scale? And a related question, samples of Strasbourg passenger cars. So that comment is referring to our 1900s era 68-foot woodside passenger cars, which were also part of our mid-year announcements. And we have finalized a tooling design for those, and our engineers are currently working on doing the physical process of designing the molds and parts for those cars. Fingers crossed, we'll have a pre-production sample, engineering sample to show this spring.
I'm looking forward to those. I need 2 of those for my tourist railroad.
Mm-hmm.
So, seeing some questions here about the Acela 2 and a release date for that. So, obviously, we have we had been hoping for the Acela 2 to be out this month. Unfortunately, as these things tend to go, sometimes there have been some delays in production, and at this point, we're looking at probably an early spring, maybe around April arrival for the Acela 2. So we apologize for the delay. We know there are a lot of people who are really eager to get their hands on these, but they are still coming. They are still very much in production, and we don't anticipate any further delays beyond that point as things currently stand.
We have a follow-up question for the 2025 catalog, asking if there is a release date. We can say, while we're almost certain, we can't positively guarantee that we're going to have the print samples, the print copies to give out at the Amherst Railroad Hobby Show, and they won't be shipping probably until early February. I think we can say this with all positivity. The online digital copy of the catalog will be put up on our website on the first day of the show, which is Saturday, 25 January. January 2025.
Yep.
25th. 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 25th
2025, 2025. Yes.
Yeah. So that's your date, January 25th, Saturday.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'm seeing a question here about, or a request. We need N scale venture cars. Well, you need N scale venture cars. We're giving you N scale venture cars. We actually, I believe it was it in the last stream where we showed off the engineering samples.
We did, yes. We revealed them at TrainFest, and we showed them off on the December new Model Monday Live. Uh, so, yes, in need, and if you're saying need in terms of you need them on your layout, I agree that you need them. We're looking at probably late in the year for those to ship.
Yep. But they are indeed coming.
Hmm. Have a number of Thomas and Friends questions as always. Happy to see all the Thomas and Friends fans in the chat tonight. We have a question if we can give any hints for the 2025 Thomas announcements. Can we give one little hint, Matt?
I don't know. We've only got a couple of weeks now. Do we
Yeah.
want to draw out the suspense a little bit longer?
I'm going to give one very vague hint.
Go
And this
for
is
it.
covering just the 2025 catalog announcements. As far as mid-year announcements, not going to give any hints on those.
Mhm.
But for the catalog specifically, your one hint is there will be new items in all three scales: HO, N scale, and large scale. So
That's a good hint. I like that.
let the speculation commence.
And on the same vein of questions about our Thomas and Friends line, I do see a couple of questions here about whether there's any news on the new Sir Handel model. Now, if you were watching the live stream with Doug Blaine on Train World's Thomas Tuesday last week, you will have seen we did officially unveil the painted sample, which I also happen to have right here. So if you missed that, here he is. Very cool little locomotive. Based, of course, on Sir Hayden from the Talyllyn Narrow Gauge Railway in Wales. And as Doug mentioned on the Thomas Tuesday live stream, our model is it draws inspiration from both the Thomas character and the prototype Sir Hayden locomotive with some of the details on top here. So very cool, very detailed little locomotive, and we're very excited to see this join the line. In terms of a release date for this, we're probably looking at maybe in late summer at this point.
Stay tuned in the coming weeks as well. We'll get some high quality photographs, including some close ups, up on the Facebook page for everybody to enjoy.
Absolutely. I have a question here. This is a good one. This is for both of us. This is what's your favorite locomotive that your team has made? So I don't know if we should restrict this to locomotives that have been made during our time at Bachman or throughout the history of Bachman. But Tyler, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'd say in my with my time in the company and projects I've personally been involved in, I think it's got to be the HO Skill Dreyfus Hudson. Just such a beautiful model. We're really happy with how it's come out. I don't have a sample of it to show today, but we've shown it on the past couple of streams and on Facebook over the past couple of months. And we do have images of that up on the website, bachmantrains.com. Just really proud of how that turned out. I think all time, we've done so many great models. Some of the large scale ones are pretty impressive. You can see some over my right shoulder. You've got the Shea, the Heisler, the Climax, the K27, another fan favorite. This is not, hints of anything that's coming up. We'd love to bring them back at some point, but we don't have any immediate plans. One thing we do have immediate plans to bring back, and I'm going to reach up off of our conference room display here, of course, is the return of the HO scale EM1, which we announced in the mid-year announcements last year. This is a prior run sample, but it's hard to beat a big long, powerful, articulated locomotive like that.
Yeah, that thing is a beast both in size and in detail.
So, how about you, Matt? What are your favorites?
I mean, I think for me, it's if we're restricting it to my time at Bachman, I would probably it's kind of a tie between the ALC 42 and the Acela 2. Both very cool modern locomotives and both a great demonstration of the level of detail that we aspire to with our models.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
those two, especially the Charger. We get all the comments all the time. Bachman's come a long way, and they're right. They're a great example of how far Bachman's come over the past 50 plus years of making trains.
yeah, and I think if we're going to the whole history of Bachman, it might still be the ALC 42, but there have been some good ones. The HHP8 is another one of my favorites. I think you're probably sensing a theme here.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are probably the top two.
Mhm. Speaking of the Dreyfus Hudson, there were a few people who asked about a date for that. Currently in our schedule, this is subject to change, but we're looking at them arriving and shipping out to retailers in June.
Yep. Those are going to be fantastic locomotives, and they sound amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see what else we have here. Plans on doing locomotives that are not currently in our line, like the Sierra Railway number 3. Like I said before, definitely send us your suggestions. You can send them to info@bachmantrains.com. We did run a road name questionnaire via social media towards around in the fall last year, which is still available online, and we still do check it periodically. We might look into doing another questionnaire at some point, so watch that space on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely got some good feedback for that, and it helped inform some of the road names we selected for the new paint schemes in the 2025 catalog and for future use as well.
Got a question that says, would coil cars open, or will that be something in the future? So our coil cars do open. I just did a demonstration you may have missed earlier in the stream.
Yeah, I think that question might have come immediately before we demonstrated
Okay.
it. So,
Well, in case you missed that section, our coil cars do open, and they do indeed have coil loads in them as well,
mhm.
which should probably sit like that.
Yeah. One more Thomas and Friends question. Any updates on Sydney and mainland diesel? Sorry to say we don't have any updates on them right now. They're still early along, and we're working on some projects that were announced before that in HO scale for Thomas. We've got Stanley and Salty working out the technical issues with him and hopefully
Bolt
getting them out.
buses, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so Sydney and mainland diesel, stay tuned for updates in the coming months.
Yep. They've not been forgotten about, though. We are still committed to bringing them out.
Mhm.
I've got a question here about whether there's any news on the ON33 Bay Hopper. All right, we're getting to the point now where I'm not repeating questions you've already answered, have I, Tyler?
No,
Okay.
we're on top of it this time. Yeah, I was just about to reply to that one as well. We got an initial tooling drawing back, and so far it's looking good. We sent feedback to our engineers asking them to revise a couple of things just to up the level of detail, to keep it in the traditional spectrum quality that Owen 30 milers have come to expect. Uh, so far, it's coming along very well. Hopefully, we'll have a pre-production sample for the show this spring.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Are we planning on producing any more train sets with DCC and sound? Um, we've got 2 sets available in HO scale right now, and 2 sets in N scale that include DCC and sound. We'll certainly look into the possibility of expanding that range in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, don't forget, in large scale, we have the Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle set that will have DCC sound on board as well. The newest run of it coming out this year.
Absolutely. All right, let's see.
If there's any questions that we missed in the chat, or for those of you who are not watching live, we're watching the live stream after it is broadcasted. If you have a question, you can always leave it in the comments on the video or send an email to info@bachmantrains.com. Question that just came in, do you plan on making roundhouse bay expansions for the new roundhouse? I'm not sure if you're referring to the one that we released in HO or the upcoming N Scale 1. We did do expansion bays for the original release of the Thomas and Friends Tin of Sheds, and truthfully, they did not sell very well. We had them in our inventory for a long time. To those of you who bought them, we appreciate it, and we're glad they were useful. But right now, it's not really feasible for us to do the roundhouse expansion set again. We're not planning to do them in N scale, and I don't think we're doing another run of them in HO scale anytime soon. The good news is, because the roundhouse kit is modular in the first place, you can do some kit bashing and add additional stalls. You'll just have to purchase 2 or more complete kits.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that answers your question.
I've got a couple of questions that are side by side here, so I'm going to answer both of these. Any chance of seeing the Chinese 282s in the future, specifically the U.S. ones, like the Susquehanna? We actually have produced those in the past. It's not something that's on our immediate plans for the future, but if you do some shopping around, you may be able to find one of those out there. They are still out there and can be tracked down every now and then. But so they have been produced. I also have a question here about whether we sell parts for older Bachmann models. We do have a full parts store online that you can browse. You won't find parts for every single model in our entire history of making model trains, but we do stock as much as we can, as much as we're able to stock there. I don't know if you have any other questions, Tyler.
I think we've covered everything that I think we can answer at this time. Appreciate all the questions. There's some things that we can't answer because it relates to future plans, but we appreciate all the questions and seeing everybody watching and engaged with the stream.
Absolutely. And we will be back next month once again, but we may see some of you in person at the Amherst show before then. So whether it's on the stream or in person at the show, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.